Welcome to another episode of What Else You Got with Mitch and Margot. I'm Mitch, she's Margot, and we've got another exciting episode for you. And well, at least I hope you have an exciting topic for today.
Exciting. I don't know if it's well, aren't all of our topics exciting?
It's always exciting.
Aren't we just we're a joy to be around,
Yeah.
right?
Oh,
Right? At least we think so.
yeah. We do these podcasts for ourselves. Everyone's
That's
just a bonus.
that's right. Everybody else can just eavesdrop. We're just having a conversation, right? It's a good thing we like each other. Most days, right? I have a
Every
question
second
for you.
Thursday of every week.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. Moderation in all things. It works. It works. I have a question.
Okay, what's your question?
What is one kind thing you could do today for another human being?
There's lots of kind things that I do.
Tell me one kind thing you could do today for another human being.
I fill up my wife's water cup.
Oh, that's really sweet.
Yeah.
That's really sweet. Okay, so I think there are two things we can do. I said one, but I think there are two things we can do every day to be kind to other human beings. And your example is actually one of them. When you fill up her water cup, I bet you she feels seen because you would have to notice her and notice her water cup in order to fill that up for her. And so by you doing that, I would imagine she feels seen. So the two things I think we can do every single day to be kind to our fellow human beings is one, help them to feel seen, and two, help them to feel heard. Oftentimes, when we are conversing with somebody else, we can get caught up in our own thoughts and be so quick thinking about how to respond to what it is they're saying, or worse yet, how to one up them, that we're not actually listening. So, to actually allow somebody to feel heard means you're not busy thinking of your next response. You're not busy thinking of how to one up. You are listening to what they're saying. And when they're done speaking, you look at them in their eyes and you say, I imagine that might have made you feel, and then you fill in the blank: scared, happy, sad, itchy. And by saying back to them, I imagine that made you feel happy, whatever, then it tells them you were actually listening. And if you get it wrong, if you name the wrong emotion, they'll correct you. They'll say, no, actually, that made me feel really anxious because, and then they'll go on to tell you more. And so then you can again listen to them and you can engage specifically with what they said. That allows them to feel heard. So if you want to be kind to another human being today, either allow them to feel seen or allow them to feel heard. And one of the easiest ways you can allow another human being to feel seen is to simply smile at them, nod at them, and maybe even say hello or have a nice day. Because you never know if you are going to be the only person to smile at that other person the entire day. You don't know if you're going to be the only person to say hello to that person the entire day. So why not do it? It doesn't
Well, so
cost you anything.
so a different topic. We're talking about cars. Oh, wait, sorry. Uh, that's a good bad example on how
That's
to
you.
listen.
Yeah. You're trying to give an example.
Yeah, so it's just one of those that, yeah, don't just jump topics. Go, yeah, I definitely agree that we can be simpler and just be able to just do simple gestures, listen to people, repeat what they say. And like I just did, I repeated what you said. And this is where you go, well, not quite. We do that quite a bit on the show. It's not quite, but it's just one of those that we can just communicate. We can smile. We make jokes, and it's people pay attention to us. We make all kinds of stupid jokes, and we all laugh at each other. But it's just one of those that, yeah, it because the other thing we could do is just completely up and go, "Oh, you're done talking? All right, let's go talk about cars. Let's go talk about this." And you're going, "Well, hang on. I'm not quite done. We need to finish this topic." No, I said we're done, so we're going. So, how does the person feel after that? They feel shut down. They feel ignored. They feel disrespected, obliterated. And so, why do they want to be around you? Why do they want to exist if no one wants to see them exist?
Yeah. 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 So allowing someone to feel seen and or heard, those are just so valuable in today's busy, busy culture and in today's, online culture. Human interaction is vital right now. It's just vital. And smiling at a stranger, it doesn't, like I said before, it doesn't cost you anything. It doesn't hurt you. It doesn't require much energy at all to simply, when you're out for your daily walk and you pass somebody, you can just simply say, "Good morning, good afternoon, I like your dog," whatever. And it's interesting when you take a minute to acknowledge something about that person, and you don't have to speak, it can just be a smile. But I'm always amazed whenever I acknowledge something about someone. "Oh, your hair looks great today." Their face lights up, they smile, and they comment back on it. So, being kind to another human being, it returns kindness to you, and it's an exchange of positive energy. It's good karma, you know? And be nice with no expectations. Don't use it as a tool to manipulate somebody. I don't like that. I don't like people, and you can usually pick up on their insincerity when somebody is using kindness as a manipulation, whether they're trying to get a better price on some product being sold or trying to get better service at a restaurant or other location. Yes, being kind has its perks, but don't be kind to be manipulative. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and because you always think of that slick, sly guy who comes up and goes, "Ooh, you're looking fine," and you're going, "I didn't fix my hair today. I'm not sure what we're talking fine." And they go, "Ooh, so I got a perfect deal for the finest person around." You're going, "Who you talking to?" And you just look at the guy going, "Yeah," and it's just one of those things that why do we have to play the game when uh, we can just be nice to someone? And I, it's just one of those that we can be nice. We don't have to do anything because yeah, I have so many examples that run through my head on simple things that people go, "All right, what angle are you giving?" And you're going, "I'm not doing anything. I just want you to have a chair. I want you to enjoy this free thing that I'm not going to use." And people just go, "All right, what'd you do to it?" And you're going, "Nothing. I just," because there seriously was this one time I was coming out of the grocery store and I just needed a 1 gallon jug of something. And I went in, I'm going, "All right, the cheapest thing I can come up with is a gallon of water." So I went and picked up a gallon of water, and as I was walking out, I saw this lady who she had the exact same jugs, but she was going to fill it up at one of those water fill up stations. And I go, "Would you be willing to trade your jug for my jug? It's full of water, brand new. I just opened it because I just need the jug. I don't need the water, and I don't want to waste the water." And she goes, "Sure." And she looked at me weirdly because who just gives away something that they just paid for to get something that someone else was just going to throw away?
Because our society is skeptical of one another because there's so many people in our society that are manipulative, and we've become a skeptical society. And so the more we are genuinely sincerely kind just to be kind, the more we can have a positive impact on the people around us, and again, one of my favorite examples of being kind just to be kind, I do not use it as a form of manipulation. I have personal goal to just be kind with no hopes of anything profiting me in return. And many years ago, I was coming home from a conference, And I it was a small little airport where the city where this conference had been held. I was amazed how such a small airport could serve such a large community. And I had intentionally scheduled my flight home for later in the day because I didn't want to be a part of the big rush of people all going to the airport at once. And so I arrived at the airport later in the day and went up to check in my bag, and I could just tell that the agent at the counter was exhausted. And so I said to her, I said, "I bet you've had a busy day, haven't you?" And she looked at me and she said, "You have no idea." And I said, "Well, I think I can imagine because I was part of this big conference and I bet you they all came through today." And she said, "Oh my gosh." And they have just been rude and impatient, and I said, "Gosh, I'm so sorry you've had to deal with that today. I hope things get better from this point." So I mean, I wasn't asking her for I was just checking in my bag. Wasn't asking her for anything. I was just asking how she was. I was trying to empathize for what a challenging day she had had so far. And after she checked in my bag, she said, "Wait a second. Hand me your ticket back." And I thought, well, that's peculiar. But I went ahead and handed her my ticket back. She tapped on her keyboard, printed out a new boarding pass, handed it to me, and she said, "I hope you enjoy your flight home. I've upgraded you to first class." I wasn't expecting anything. I wasn't wanting I just wanted to be kind. And so she upgraded me to first class, and I thoroughly enjoyed sitting in first class for my flight home. So, don't be kind to manipulate, be kind just sincerely wanting to be nice to somebody else, and it will come back in dividends either immediately or long term in the future or in your next lifetime. Karma.
Yeah, I was going to say, it sounds like karma, and it really just comes down to if everyone was just a little bit nicer, so many things would just work. I actually heard a very interesting trivia piece, which of course I haven't quite verified because on one hand it sounds out there, but at the same time it sounds completely reasonable. Dave Ramsey was talking about if everyone just took care of each other, everyone just gave someone like an extra pair of socks, took someone out to dinner, just took care of each other, and was just generous all the way around. If you have a little extra, you share with everyone. If everyone in the U.S. did that, we wouldn't need government programs to take care of each other because there's enough amongst us to do it. It's just we just need to do it, and it's just one of those that I'm going. It makes complete sense, but at the same time, it's just one of those that who would do such a thing. But it's just one of those that when you take the time to be nice, you will have the opportunity to see the benefits and the uplift that you can do. Because there's a interesting piece of trivia that if you give most families who are in poverty just $10,000, they would have enough uplift to get themselves out of poverty and be a productive member of society. But just because of their situation, they just can't get there. And I say most because there's some that they'll take it and go the other way. But it really just comes down to just the small, simple things. Yeah, you might not have 10,000 to give someone, but it'll be one of those that you give them $100 here, you help them fill up their tank of gas, help them carry their laundry, just say hi to them. When you add all those things up together, eventually they may get beyond that point.
Well, and I think comes back to the concept of that person feeling seen and heard. So when someone feels seen and heard, they feel valued, wanted, and they feel like they belong. And I just think these are basic things that we can provide to another human being. Uh, you were saying something. I should be taking notes. I'm trying to just be present and listen. You said a lot of great things there. Maybe it'll come back to me.
We're just watching our own show as we're filming.
That's funny too. We're hilarious. I was going to tell you. Oh, I know. One of the ways that we can really help people feel seen is by listening to them. So if somebody says something to the effect of, "Man, I really miss my mom's raspberry jam. I would love to have some homemade raspberry jam. Well, be in the present moment, converse with them, but then as soon as you have a chance, make a note in your phone that so and so commented about how much they miss homemade raspberry jam. And then when you're out and about, Trader Joe's, pick up some raspberry jam. Or if you know somebody who makes homemade raspberry jam, ask if you can have a jar. And then just out of the blue, not on a holiday, not because anything's prescribed, out of the blue, stop by with that jar of jam and say, "Hey, I was thinking about you today. I know a while back you had mentioned that you were missing some raspberry jam, so I just wanted to drop this off to you. I hope you enjoy it."
Yeah, and
Seen and heard.
that's a great example because for years people kept going, "How'd you know I wanted such and such gift?" I'm going, "'Cause you mentioned it like 3 times in the last year, I just finally got around to actually getting it for you," and it doesn't take a ton of mental energy, and you said you can write it down, but for me, it's one of those that if I hear them say it a couple times, I try to pick up on it and I try to attend to it if I can, but it's just one of those that just listening, taking note. One thing I'm really bad at is getting to know everyone's kids and remembering all their names, but if it's one of those that you walk up to someone you haven't seen in a while and they go, "Hey, how's Joey?" And you're going, "You remember Joey?" And they go, "Yeah, you talked about Joey all the time." Versus, "How's your kids?" "Oh, great. Yeah." And it's just small talk, but it's just small little things. Doesn't have to be super big. Just knowing
Details.
that, yeah, knowing the details that they shared, you're able to then be a part of their life. And when you get to circle back and rejoin them in their life, they go, "Hey, you actually were paying attention. I like you that much more."
I used to manage 450 people, and I wanted them all to feel seen and heard and valued. But I am a forgetful person, and so remembering the details, like their kids' names, was always hard for me. And so what I did is I kept a 3-ring binder with tabs and pages, and every time I would have a phone conversation with one of these people, I would have my binder open to their page and I would add notes to it. And then the next time they were due for a phone call, I would refresh my memory by looking at those notes, not because I was trying to be formulaic, but because I knew that I was forgetful. And so I was using a tool to help me remember because I want to remember and I want to be kind and care. And it was a tool that I used that was really helpful to me. And even in my current job, I have a spreadsheet on the computer with just a few small details like the names of their kids or the names of their spouses so that when I engage with them, it just helps me remember a little bit. So if you're someone who is forgetful, either keep notes on your phone or keep notes somewhere else that you can refer back to so that you can be more thoughtful and engaged.
Yeah, and life is not a closed book test. It's open book. You're allowed to take as many notes as you want, and it really just comes down to use what you can.
It does.
If and it's far simpler than what people think. Yes, there are those people that, for some reason, they can memorize every piece of grain that they've seen, and you're going, but it's other people because I'm really bad at it, and I walk away going, "Oh yeah, yeah, I remember." I'm going, I've got no clue what they said 20 minutes later, but it's just one of those take your notes, do your things. I'm still figuring out how to take good notes for that, but it really just comes down to build what you can. And it doesn't matter how you remember, whether it's writing down or if it's stuck in your head. What matters to the person receiving it is you took the effort to record in some form, whether it's your head, whether it's a sticky note, whether it's a spreadsheet, whether it's a voice note, you took the effort to record something about them because they are important enough to record the detail to remember.
Yeah. So, which brings me to my sweatshirt. I want to tell you the story about my sweatshirt.
Shucked? What's that about?
So, I hope I don't offend any of our listeners. I am not a fan of like Broadway musicals. I'm just not. Is I've tried different types of theater. I've gone to Shakespeare. I've gone to Shakespeare in the Park kind of venues. I've literally gone to Broadway. I saw Phantom of the Opera on Broadway. You can't get a better venue than that. I have I've tried so many different venues. It's just not my cup of tea. I can appreciate the hard work that goes into it. I can appreciate the artistry and the dedication. And with all of that backstory, I fell in love with Shucked. It started on Broadway. The music was created by one of my favorite, musicians, composers, songwriters, and the first time I caught a glimpse, because sometimes, like, on the Today Show, they'll have, like, sneak peeks of new Broadway shows that are coming out, and they'll just perform one of their ensemble numbers, and I saw that one morning on the Today Show right before it was to premiere, and I busted a gut laughing. It was the most hilarious thing I had ever seen, and so I texted a couple of friends, my family, and I said, "If anybody's going to New York City, please let me know. I wanna go see Shucked on Broadway." I just think that would be so awesome. I actually bought the CD, and I listened to the music over and over and over again, knew all the songs, sent a couple of the songs to a couple of my friends, and then the concept, the idea faded away. Years passed. It was no longer even on my radar. No offense, Shucked, kind of forgot about you. And then my friend called me up one day and she said, "Would you be available this night or this night in like a coming month?" And I said, "Either." "Why?" And she said, "Well, it's a surprise. I'm not telling you yet." And I said, "Okay." Well, Shucked came to my town, and she remembered years later how much I wanted to go and see Shucked and never did. And they came to our town, obviously off Broadway production, and she bought us tickets, surprised me with them, took me. We went and saw Shucked, and I was like a kid in a candy store. I was on the edge of my seat. I laughed, I cried, I loved it so much. But the thing I loved the most was that somebody in my life not only listened when I had talked about it, she remembered, and then she went out of her way because I didn't even know they were coming to town, but she did. And she went out of her way to buy tickets, surprise me with it. I felt so seen, heard, loved, cared about. It was a highlight of probably the year. So,
And that's a good example of you don't have to remember today. You don't have to remember tomorrow. You don't have to remember in a month. You don't have to remember in a year. If you as long as you remember. And
yeah,
it's one of those
you
that
do
they're simple
something.
things. Yeah.
Yeah,
It and yeah, you might not have the means to do it today. You might not have the means to do it tomorrow, but it can be anything from a handwritten note saying, "Hey, I still remember you want this," or remember this detail, or it can be a here's a surprise set of tickets. You're going with me. And it can be small, it can be simple, but yeah, it might be 10 years before you can fulfill a wish. But it's one of those that it goes back to you remembered, you took the time, and again, it's one of those that it may just be a fleeting memory that you go, "Oh yeah, did they ever get that?" And then you take the effort to figure out, all right, they haven't gotten it yet, so let's figure it out.
well, and to your point, it doesn't even have to be expensive. Because same friend, she's a good friend, same friend knew how much I enjoyed watching Ted Lasso, and so she got me a sticker of a goldfish because it related to Ted Lasso. And so the sticker didn't cost the same price as going to the musical Shucked, but the thought was it's the same thought, remembering something about somebody else, taking action, which will allow that other person to feel seen, heard, and cared about. It
Hmm.
doesn't have to cost a fortune.
Yeah, and what may be 50 cents to you might be a lifetime of meaning for someone else. It's
Yes.
just one of those really small things because you mentioned Mama's raspberry jam. Well, if somehow were able to finagle the mom's recipe away from the person, it might be 2 years before you actually get around to making it. But it's one of those that they go, how'd you get this recipe? And you go, technically, you gave it to me a couple of years ago, and I just now got around to doing something about it. But it, you can do something right in front of someone, and it just the way you do it, they don't realize what you just did. Or it can be one of those that you can be as subtle as possible and be a secret Santa, and no one knows you actually did it.
Well, and it Maya Angelou who said we might have to look up this quote to make sure we attribute it correctly. People won't remember what you said to them, but they will remember how you made them feel.
Yep. I don't remember who exactly said it, but yes, that is the correct quote.
So be kind. Be
Hmm.
remembered for being kind and thoughtful. Be remembered for being someone who listens sincerely, and be remembered for someone who says hi, on the walking path. Be a kind energy.
Yeah, because one of the things that I super love about my wife, we were on this one cruise and we had a pile of rubber duckies, and we're just walking around, and she just randomly stopped and saw this kid and said, "Do you want a rubber ducky?" And man, that kid had such a big grin ear to ear, and you're going, "Oh, okay." And she gave the rubber ducky, and the kid's parents were just super excited, and we just walked away going, "It wasn't anything to us, but man, it made a world for that kid, and because it
Yeah,
made a world for the kid, it made a world for the parents."
yeah, yeah. I love it. We can all be a little kinder. We can all slow down, listen to somebody, help them to feel seen and heard. Yeah. And if you feel like you don't have time to slow down, then just smile at people when you walk past. Don't grimace. Smile.
Hmm.
Yeah. One time I asked a very successful salesman, I asked him because he was like the good kind of salesman, the one that sincerely helped people and helped solve problems, not the manipulative kind. Um, and I think salesmen sometimes get bad raps. But so I asked him one time, I said, "You are so good at this. What is your secret?" And he said, "Simple. Every single person I meet in my head, I think, I love you. How can I help you? Because I love you."
Yeah, just super simple things that you can do. Doesn't have to be complicated, and it's just one of those that if your goal is to just help, then try. Yes, society might say you're not helping, but who cares about society? You're trying to help the individual.
Yep. Yep. That's all. What else you got?
I think that's it for today.
All right
You got,
then. My shucked sweatshirt and I will go and listen to some music, sing some songs. A little corny.
nice. Well, that's another episode of What Else You Got with Mitch and Margot. Like, comment, subscribe, and we will see you guys on the next one.